It's exactly 30 years today, the 18th of February 1995, since the Gambia became an independent nation, breaking the chains of colonialism and foreign domination once and forever. On this fateful and most memorable day 30 years today, thousands of Gambians, some of them among us here, witnessed this solemn and touching occasion as the Union Jack was lowered and the Gambian flag raised in the final stage of the birth of a nation, indeed one of Africa's smallest. This very important occasion marked the dawn of an era that calls for more dynamic citizenship as we assume the responsibility for self-determination. School children in bright and colorful uniforms line up neatly, well poised to perform the annual traditional march past. The Gambian people can count on them as assets and future custodians of this great nation. The Independence Stadium was full to the brink, and more people continued to pour on the already overwhelmed facility, a recipe for pandemonium and scuffle among the over-enthusiastic crowd. As we gather here in the Independence Stadium in this unique and unprecedented mass turnout to celebrate the birth of our nation, it should be borne in mind that our collective responsibility to reflect on the past with a view to carving a better future for our dear nation cannot be overlooked. Given the size of the crowd that gathered to grace this august gathering in this most decisive moment of our political evolution, the significance of this occasion cannot be overemphasized. However, more striking about this occasion is the overwhelming political reality on the ground. The appearance of soldiers within the limelights of Gambian politics is an unprecedented development, the rationale for which has been restated on several occasions. But the African experience in the attainment of independence was diverse and profound. For most countries, the bitter price for independence was a bloody and protracted armed liberation struggle, but a relatively peaceful transition for others, and the Gambia is no exception to the latter. Either way, independence for those who yearned and fought for it was the breaking of the chains of colonialism and foreign domination, which have marginalized Africa and its institutions for over 300 years. The dawn of this era of political emancipation had been greeted with much air of optimism and euphoria in many African circles. For many, the advent of independence was self-determination. The Vice Chairman of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council and Minister of Defense, Captain Edward Singate and Mrs. Singate, arrived and were received by senior officials of the Security and Defense Force. The occasion reached the climax with the appearance of the chairman's motorcade amidst loud and thunderous applause. As usual in battlefield camouflage, Chairman Jammeh seen standing through the overhead opening of his official state pajero, fist high in the air, displayed his victory symbol as the motorcade drove around in a spectacular show of support and solidarity. Chairman Jammeh was received by Vice Chairman Captain Edward Singate and Amina Fall Sonko, deputizing for the Minister of Education. Chairman Jammeh was soon after invited to inspect a guard of honor mounted by officers and men from the defense and security establishments.
The head of state and chairman of the FCRC, this is a historic event in the Gambia. Have now been presented. This is the first independent parade, the head of state, chairman of the armed forces of Israel.
Please. Sorry, I'm at State House, sir. Please.
It's your time. It's up to the guard of honor. Let us stand in the ceremony. This area real soldier. He is a real soldier. Who have served in different units of the Gambia's National Army. Gambia's Army. Independece.
The traditional march past of our gallant forces on parade got underway in a manner that inspired a great deal of trust and confidence from the Gambian people. The forces on parade, lining up to form a human chain, fired several rounds of blank ammunition into the air, a gesture that undoubtedly would remind many people here present exactly 30 years today, as the guns pierced the silent skies over Makati Square in the final stage of the making of one of Africa's smallest countries. The traditional march past of voluntary organizations and school children was well performed to add more impetus of hope and confidence as the Gambian people look up to these young ones for the future of this great nation.
Right! They are down there. We are moving. This is all I'm coming. Otherwise, we can force you to go out. You see? Yes. So exactly. We are all doing ours.
Your Excellency, the Vice Chairman and Minister of Defense, Honorable Ministers, my Lord Chief Justice, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, boys and girls. Today, Saturday, the 18th February 1995, marks the 30th anniversary of independence of our beloved motherland. And it is indeed for me a pleasure to witness the traditional march past of school children and voluntary organizations. Let me first of all extend a warm welcome to you all to an occasion which illustrates...
In a traditional address to school children in a nationwide broadcast, the head of state called on Gambians to reflect on the plight of these young ones, who are the assets and future custodians of this great nation. Chairman Jammeh continued.
Unmistakable signal of a positive response to the nation's call for unity, and this gives me much hope and encouragement. As we celebrate 30 years of nationhood, let us reflect on the plight of the future leaders of this country, and in so doing, remind ourselves of the various roles we have to play in the realization of our nation's common aim of making the Gambia of tomorrow a better place to live. I have had occasions in the past to challenge the youth that our resources, energy and talent should be unreservedly directed and dedicated to those activities which will generate economic and social progress for the nation, not towards a massive exodus of foreign pastures which are nurtured and raised through the hard work of their patriotic nationals. My government firmly believes that young Gambians constitute a dominant force for any national mobilization effort, and as such must be rallied towards the task of nation building. This is not only because young people constitute a numerically significant segment of the population, but rather because of the abundant energies and sheer human resource potential awaiting to be unleashed. Since July 22nd last year, it has become increasingly clear that young Gambians are assuming greater responsibilities in a new era where they can openly question and critically assess conduct in services rendered to the nation in every sphere of human endeavor. The once bystander and onlooker posture, previously characteristic of Gambian youth, is rapidly giving way to a positive, dynamic and participatory role in the political, economic and social development of the Gambia. Boys and girls, in our process of change, young Gambians must be able to appreciate the meaning of dignity in labor and the honor in services rendered to the nation. To this effect, the AFPRC wishes to emphasize that all professions are noble, particularly when they are mobilized towards building a better Gambia. It is for young Gambians, therefore, the moment to appropriate the destiny of our beloved country. Such appropriation will, however, not be possible if we do not subject ourselves to discipline and tolerance, with loyalty to the national interest and respect for one another becoming hallmarks of our new era. You are the nation's asset for development. You are hope, and your present and you represent the future. As you participate in today's ceremony, remember that there are thousands of less fortunate Gambians of your age who have either dropped out of the school system for one reason or another, or who have not had the chance to go to school. I urge you, therefore, to avail yourself of the opportunities offered by our educational facilities and to use your potential to the fullest. See yourselves as torchbearers imbued with a sense of correct human relations, a sense of discipline and serviceability, and a state of preparedness to take on the challenges that lie ahead of you. For it has been said that To whom too much is given, much is expected from. The times in which we live today are extraordinary ones, and they call for great personal sacrifice. Now more than before, ever before, the need for sacrifice is an active ingredient in the AFPRC's program of rectification and transition to democratic constitutional rule. Recent events connected to the response of some of our development partners must be sufficient to awaken the Gambia and Gambians to the fact that, indeed, on the road to institutionalized accountability and good governance, we have our resolve to persevere and our commitment to hard work as our principal guide. The struggle for a new Gambian identity is purely a Gambian crusade, and it is derived from the contradictions which have characterized the very basis of our existence as a nation under the deformed PPP administration. One of the most conspicuous features of the Alpha regime has been its reliance on foreign aid to provide some of the critical services needed. It is now obvious that 30 years of dependence on foreign aid has indeed increased our vulnerability to imposed hardships, manipulation, and generic economic policies and formulations which could otherwise have been very useful under an accountable government committed to promoting the welfare of Gambians. In this new era for restructured social relations, new friends will be made, but this should not be seen as a signal to move away from the old. And indeed, true friends whom we cherish. We must all be convinced, however, that the biblical manna from heaven will never fall. It is therefore time for the Gambia to stop being content with its previous status as a lucky country and take a bold stand towards becoming a clever country. For this, we must all look inside, define our new targets, and start moving outward. Gambians must be courageous enough to isolate alien values whose improper interfacing with indigenous aspirations have brought civil strife and increased conflict to countries like Liberia, Rwanda, and Somalia. As the Gambia celebrates 30 years of nationhood, Gambians are celebrating a rebirth, and the new generation of Gambians understand that our salvation can only be found through new dimensions of patriotic service and a total commitment to developing education, health, and agriculture. Boys and girls, it is the conviction of my government that the AFPRC, in partnership with Gambians and dedicated development partners, will strive to address critical issues in the Gambia's food security. Through interventions during transition to democratic rule, the AFPRC will endeavor to move the Gambia towards an improved condition in its food self-sufficiency. This, we believe, is achievable as the Gambia has the natural resource requirements to make this country a dependable rice basket or granary with the sub-region. We are committed to the notion that in our endeavors, every true patriot makes the team, and on the ride along the rough road, we must continue to be guided by our sensitivity to the Gambia's supreme interest. At the end of the transition to democratic and constitutional rule, we must all jubilate and rejoice as one big family of responsible government which has brought together the private sector, non-governmental organizations, development partners, and the people. As parents and leaders, as parents, teachers, and leaders, we are all bound to keep the momentum alive. Let us not drop our guard and allow the younger ones to drift into unprogressive and destructive habits, which would only mortgage the future of this beautiful nation to social misfits and unpatriotic Gambia. Let commitment and dedication be the guiding light, just as no hesitation, foolhardiness, and lethargy will deter us. We all have our various roles to play and have to act in concert in charting a better course for the Gambia's economic and social development. boys and girls, may I conclude by simply saying how much we believe in you to build a better Gambia tomorrow. The call for patriotism has been sounded, and I sense that the goodwill and sincerity to see us through is not lacking. With the necessary political will at home, we are confident that we shall succeed in securing for you not merely survival, but also protection and development. The interest, energy, and momentum manifested must not be lost sight of, but sustained and augmented. I have every reason to believe that the Gambia can live to its challenges. I wish you long life, good health, prosperity, and peace. Long live the Gambia. God bless you.
The independent song Ligay Rewmi that calls for more national dedication was sung jointly by school children and voluntary organizations with the instrumental backing of the Gambia Police Band.
is about to leave.
At the final stage of the procession at Independence Stadium, Chairman Jammeh left amidst cheerful applause from the enthusiastic crowd for more functions at the State House. In a separate development, Chairman Jammeh received at State House representatives of foreign missions and international organizations who paid a courtesy call on him in a traditional goodwill gesture.
Excellency, the Vice Chairman and Minister of Defense, members of the AFPRC, Honorable Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Secretary General to the President.
Speaking on behalf of the Diplomatic Corps, the Dean and Sierra Leonean High Commissioner, Mr. Aaron Bohari, expressed congratulatory message through Chairman Jammeh to the Gambian people and wish them peace and stability in the future.
Members of the Diplomatic Corps should be here on this auspicious occasion to tender their felicitations to the government and the people of the Gambia for having gone through 30 years of nationhood and independence. This is precisely why we are here today as representatives of our sovereign states. And we have come as a duty and as a compulsion on our part to congratulate you, Mr. Chairman, to congratulate the people of the Gambia, and to wish them progress, stability, and development in future. Within the last few months, a significant aspect has developed within the Gambia through the coming in of the July 22nd revolution in this country. And since then, we as keen watchers of development in this country have been making our own assessments and analysis. And then when we are here the last time for the New Year felicitations, we said we are here to wish the government and the people of this country a happy and successful New Year. We witnessed the constitution of the Consultative Committee towards the realization of democracy in the future of this country. And I must say, on behalf of my colleagues, that it seems that the shortening of the lifespan in the political agenda of this country is comfortable and most welcome. Without much ado, I wish to take this opportunity once again to extend to you on behalf of my colleagues present here and the people of the Gambia a happy 30th anniversary. Thank you.
In a reciprocal gesture, Chairman Jammeh had this to say.
Your Excellency, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished diplomats, fellow members of the Council, ladies and gentlemen. It is very difficult for me to express how much touched I am by your presence here, both here and at the stadium. It has reaffirmed our commitment and our belief that no country in this world can live in isolation, and that no matter what happens to a country, the collective will of humanity to help solve the problem would always give easy solutions to whatever problem arises. And in the case of the Gambia, it is no exception. As you rightly stated, the events of July 22nd, 1994 are a clear manifestation of Gambian people's resolve to solve a chronic problem Gambian style. We have, since time immemorial, lived and nurtured a culture of tolerance, peace, and mutual respect. And this culture came to light on the 22nd of July, when in broad daylight, a deeply entrenched and corrupt regime was overthrown within a matter of hours. As I have always made it clear, our coming to power is in no way geared towards disrupting or antagonizing the international community or any foreign government for that matter. See, we live in a very funny world, in the sense that we have diverse cultures, diverse beliefs, diverse ideologies. My ideology may be poisonous to somebody's ideology, but does that matter much? Well, even if my ideology is different from your ideology, I alone do not constitute the nation. The interest of the nation is paramount. And as far as we are concerned, national interest takes precedence over everything. Your presence here is very gratifying in the sense that we know that no matter what happens, we'll have few people, friends who will be by our side. They may not totally agree with our ideology or our principles, but what is important is how do we come to a common ground through dialogue If we don't come together, we will never understand each other. The events of July 22nd were in the best interest of the Gambian people. We are not anti-democrats. We are not dictators. We are here to make sure that true democracy exists in the Gambia. And democracy does not only mean telling the people to go and vote. If they vote and that's the end of it, then it's not democratic. If the people vote under circumstances that they don't know why they are voting for, it's not democratic. The people must know why they are voting, why they have to vote, and decide whether or not they have to vote, or whether they want to vote. That's democratic in the first place. But when they vote for somebody, and the person does not serve their interest, after promising to serve their interest, that is not democratic, because if there is no justice, there is no democracy. Where there is no equality, there cannot be democracy. And where there is nepotism, there is no democracy. Every human being must be accountable for what he do. And we have seen that for 30 years of the so-called democracy, today we are so vulnerable that the collapse of the tourism industry would adversely affect our economy. What have we been doing for 30 years? This is a new era, and we would want your cooperation. You may not agree with our principles, but look at the interest of the vast majority of Gambians. We may be soldiers, but the vast majority of the people are not soldiers. Look at their interests, not what we are, but what the Gambian people stand to lose or to gain, and help the Gambian people. And in our new transition period, we will need your understanding rather than your anger. And we will take this opportunity to thank you all for coming to attend this great day, which is different from all the other days, because for the first time in our history, a democratically elected government was absent from a national parade. But then we can also boast that we have the mandate of the people for the next 18 months, because everything was put to the people in an atmosphere that is more democratic and more transparent than under the 30 years of PVP rule. I wish you all the best. A happy new year for those who have not met before. And we hope that 1995 also would be a year of international peace and social justice for the whole of mankind. Because without peace and social justice, no nation can ever boast of democracy. No nation can ever develop, because then there will be no peace. Where there is no peace, there is no development. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, I think more particularly for those of
The Dean of the Diplomatic Corps took the opportunity to introduce members of the AFPRC government to his colleagues.
And in turn, I will ask you graciously to introduce yourself. Immediately after the chairman is His Excellency, the Vice Chairman and Minister of Defense, Captain Edward Singate. Next after him is the Minister of Interior, Captain Yankuba Toure. Local government, sorry. And the Minister of the Interior is Captain Lamin Bajo. And last but not least, the AFPRC spokesman, Captain Ibu Jallo. We also have in our midst, of course, the Honorable Minister of External Affairs, who is our direct link. And the Secretary General to the Chairman and Head of State. May I kindly ask, beginning with the High Commissioner of the Republic of Senegal, to introduce yourself and so on. Ambassador Colin Wood.
Consul General of Gambia and Lebanon.
I'm Robert Hardmark, Honorary Consul for Sweden and Norway.
Ambassador of the Russian Federation.
Mr. Church, UNDP, acting I use it.
Anniversay Ambassador of Sweden to Gambia, Sierra Leone and Liberia.
I'm William Samba, Honorary Consul of Brazil.
Wilmot John, Honorary Dutch Consul. Richard Ambassador of the Kingdom of Thailand.
Mrs. Collier, Honorary Consul of Ghana.
Dr. Yamtama, Ambassador of Indonesia.
Ambassador of Malcolm, George Madi, Honorary Consul of Japan.
Ambassador of Alpha Diallo, Consul of International. Chinese Ambassador. General Relations Saudi Arabia Ambassador for India, Gambia and Senegal.
Andrew Winter, Ambassador of the United States.
Hezekiah, Malaysian.
Mohammed Diab, Egyptian Ambassador to Senegal and Gambia, Capital.
John Moran, British High Commissioner. Sebastian Droguet, Honorary Consul for Spain. George Patton, Secretary of Affairs, Island. Yoruba High Commissioner of the Gambia, the Senegal.
As part of the independence celebrations, Chairman Jammeh received the Senegalese Justice Minister at State House as a special envoy of the President of the Republic of Senegal. In a final engagement, Chairman Jammeh spoke to the Senegalese television in an exclusive interview.
Mr. Chairman, we are just coming from the stadium to celebrate the 30th independence anniversary of the Gambia. Could you tell us what significance this has for you?
Well, it has a lot of significance. It has great significance for me and for the country, because for the first time in 30 years, a young man addressed the nation as the head of state. And it is very significant in the sense that today is 30 years. All those who attended will go home and reflect, for 30 years, what have we achieved so far? Then, the difference between what is achieved and whether that is what we are supposed to achieve, the difference will give Gambians greater impetus to strive for a better nation.
Yes. Independence bi tey am na significance lool ci moom parce que tey pour première fois ndawi réew mi taxaw na nekk jiite bés bi muy moom ba pare Gambien bi ci seen bopp bu ñu ñibbee tey dinañ toog di xalaat ñu xam ne indépendance bi ñu amoon ñett fukki at yi passé lan la indépendance boobu indil réew mi ndax jëlee nañ ci xam nga liñ ci jublu woon pour lu indépendance war a indi réew mi ndax indiloon na ko Gambie ci ñett fukki at yi nii Gambien bu nekk boo ñibbee tey di nga fii di nga toog nga juraat sa xel nga xalaat ñu seet nag fan lañ war a jógee fii.
It is also significant in the sense that Gambians for 30 years were seeing a civilian ahead of them. Today it is a soldier. They will think, take a retrospect, and ask themselves, how come today there is a soldier ahead of us? What happened? Then it will serve in our rectification process. Everybody will learn a great lesson from it.
Toujours bu ñu kii bu indépendance jotee civil mooy taxaw ci seen kanam di wax ak ñoom nekk njiit mais tey Gambien ci dem nañ gis nañ ne civil nekkatu fa toogatu fa njiit li soldat ba so ñun Gambien ci bu ñu ñibbee tey suñ ko fi ñañ mën a xalaat ne lan moo tax lan moo waral affaire yi wécceeku demee ni su ko defee ñu mën a xalaat nag wécceeku bi lu ko waral ndax loolu seen programme bi ñu taxawal pour jubanti réew mi génnee ko ci dënga bi nekkoon jubanti ko programme boobu ñi dinañ mën a toog fii ko ci seen
suma ñaareelu question bi mooy est-ce que mën nañu confirmer tey que fii weer ak juróom-ñaar si kanam militaires yi dinañ dellu seen caserne parce que dégg nañu ni daal loolu xaw na diviser armée.
He wants to know if you can assure them today that at the end of 17 months, if the soldiers will go back to the barracks and return the country to civilian rule, because he understands that that kind of is causing kind of a division within the army.
Well, first of all, I'm not aware of any divisions within the army. The army is 100% behind me. The police, they are behind me. And the question of whether 17 months will return the country to civilian rule, or whether before that or after that, is not for us to answer. We have a program, and we have the Gambian people. At the end of the day, it's up to the Gambian people. If they say less than 17 months, it's up to them. We can hand over the country within a period shorter than 17 months, or within a period longer than 17 months. It depends on the Gambians. It is not us, really. When we said 4 years, we put it to the people. At first we said 4 years. What would have happened if I said then that we are going to hand over in 4 years? Today we are supposed to hand over in 17 months. So definitely it depends on the Gambian people, because we work according to the wishes of the Gambian people. Whatever the Gambians wish, that is what we are going to do.
loolu desit ci loxoom parce que premièrement mu ne moom yëgul sax affaire kii ci biir ànd bi yëgul sax ay affaire jafe-jafe bu ci am wala jaxle wala division daal bu ci am loolu ñoom kiiwu leen daal yëguñ ko daal li ci tew ne yëfi joxe ndomb bi ci biir fukki at ak juróom-ñaar loolu def ko ci Gambien si parce que ñoom xam nga taxawaloon nañ fi ne ñeneenti at la ñoo toog ñu jël loolu yóbbu ko ci Gambien si ne leen nañ ko kii lii lañ bugga pour ñu def ko ñaari at so fi mu nekk ñu ne fukki weer ak juróom-ñaar moo si def loolu it dafay def na si loxo Gambien bi même bu Gambien bi taxawoon tey ne ko joxeel banta bi tey dina ko def parce que loolu la nit ñi bëgg te moom nit ñi la fi toola li nit ñi bëgg rek loolu laa doxal suba bëccëg ko.
And another thing that we buttress the point that there is no division in the army is the fact that if there were divisions within the army, the people wouldn't have been so comfortable to come in large numbers to the stadium. It is non-existent.
loolu amul parce que bu fekkoon ne loolu amul tey ñun ñëpp gisal nañ ko suñu bopp ci stade Gambien si dañ génn njóor ñëw daje foofu wane seen support taxaw ci gannaawam wane ne ñoom moom lañ faral bu fekkoon ne nag division am na ci am nit ñi dañoo toog seen kër kenn du ñëw kenn du kii kenn du génn wane solidarité daal waaye tey solidarité bi ñu gis ci stade bi mu ne ni ko nit ñi dinañ ragal sax xaw a ragal tiitaan mais est-ce que kii na sécurité bi ndax demee na noonu daal parce que bu fekkee ni féewoo am na ci am bi dinañ ragal daal pour génn sax dem fu soldat yi nekk waaye tey Gambie ñëpp ak génn stade bi mosu da feeseen ñun Gambien si mosu ñoo gis stade bi feeseen ni tey comme ni mu mel.
Donc question bu mujj bi est-ce que depuis bu ñu waxee ni xëy na fii ak fukki weer ak juróom-ñaar dinañu dellu nguur gi civil yi est-ce que gis na soppeeku ci relation Gambie ak bailleur de fonds est-ce que diplomate yi mu recevoir léegi yu ñëwoon ci stade bi est-ce que gis na soppeeku seen diggante Gambie.
So since you reduced the timetable to 2 years, he's wondering if you have noticed any kind of change in the attitude of the West, the diplomatic corps, how they are responding to that, if the attitude has changed and become positive in any way.
Well, for the donors, most of them are political. They don't mind what happens or the timetable. One aspect of the donors, they don't mind whether it is 4 years or 2 years or 6 months. What they're after is good governance. For the rest, they have their own principles, and basically their principle says that they should deal with this particular regime and they should not deal with this particular regime. But as far as we are concerned, that is not very important. What is important to us is what the Gambians say. Because if principles of democracy are anything to go by, no country has a right to shun us, because the Gambian people welcome us, and our timetable and program, our coming to power has been endorsed by the people. So if democracy is anything to go by, they have no choice but to come back.
Comme West bi ñi ñu suñ kii ñi ñu war a dimbali yooyu ñi ñu kiyal ñi ñu àndal daal West bi à diplomatie ñu ci bëri daal ñoom ndax kii nañ kiiwu ñoom daal dañu am ne nii fii la ñuy jubloog ñoom wala nii lañ demee ni lañ demee it ñoom dinañ jaar ko waaye am na ci ñoo xam ne ñoom it dañu am seen kii yu boppa comme ne ñoom dañu am daal seen mentalité boppa daal ne moom nit ñee ko nit ñee ko taxawal nit ñee ko boot bu fekkee ne nag ñoom West loolu doyul leen te ñoom
if the principles of democracy are anything to go by, then have to respect this regime, because we have the endorsement of the majority of Ghana, and that is all what democracy is.
Comme majorité bi ñoo ko tànn taxawal ko bu fekkee ne ñoom démocratie bi ñooy wax mu ngi ci ñoom war nañoo wekk lu nit ñi soxla lu nit ñi àndal parce que ñoom nit ñi ànd nañoo ñoom su fekkee ni démocratie principe de démocratie moom la ñu du def kon dinañ kii am moom.
li ma wax mooy su fekkee ne nit ñi démocratie lañ bugga ñun suñ taam bi kenn waru ko opposé parce que nit yi Gambien dañ ko endorse dañ yóbbu si Gambien si suñu fekkee ne ñun suñ nekka fi neexu leen dañ da wax yi génne hand over leen power immediately nañ dem waaye fu mu nekk nii ñu ne 17 months ñoom ñoo ko wax ñun waxuñ ko so kon anybody ko xam ne yaa ngi fonka démocratie démocratie boo xam ne dëgg la nekkul démocratie boo xam ne rideau la moo nekki vraie démocratie ñoom yëpp amuñ fu mu nekk nii amuñ benn choice but they have to support us war nañoo support parce que Gambian si àndal na ak ñun ñu support ñu endorse so si 17 months kenn amul lu ñu war a wax so des na si ñoom ñu ñëw des na si ñoom ñu toog waaye su fekkee ne démocratie moom la ñoo faytal dañoo xeeb pour démocratie kon kenn warta des gannaaw fu mu nekk nii parce que ñun wane nañ ne Gambien si wane nañ ne lu ñu wax mooy 17 months ñun loolu la ñoo def